All right. We are beginning the regular business of our March regular board meeting, 7:02 p.m. here. Just concluded our joint work session with the advisory council. So go ahead and begin with comments from the general public. Jane, would you like to make any comments?
Just keep on trucking.
Okay. Thank you.
3 more minutes.
Sorry. Ken, Emily?
No,
Would you like, no? Okay. And everyone else who is here? Is there anyone online?
Looks like there's one person online. If you would like to comment, you can raise your hand. Rachel. And no comments there?
Okay, and then one that was submitted.
Yes, so this one was submitted through the online system a few hours ago, so it was not in your packet. But it was more of a question than a comment, but this person also put this question out on social media. We normally don't respond to questions in public comment, but I had actually already kind of worked on a response for this, and so I thought I just would share with the board a little bit about it, and we will be getting back to this person as well, and getting back on social media as well too. But a couple of things that the comment is that they are asking about comparisons to the Lorac Center, which is the new community center and aquatic center in Lake Oswego that opened last year. So a couple things about it, just like it on this picture right here, you can see basically this whole side right here is a community center that has a gym, some workout space. Actually, the locker room facilities are right here, and then right here is a multi-purpose room that is kind of like a yoga dance studio sort of thing. And then this is staff offices over here. The yellow here is all hallway space, and then this room right here is kind of like what their birthday room would be like. It's a room that faces part of the pool, so it opens to here. I actually was in the meeting in here for a meeting last month, and a really nice center. But couple things to point out right here. You can see the roof line is all lower along right here, and it's just raised where the gym is and such. There's a huge difference in how much it costs to build aquatic stuff and the dry side things. The last time when we were considering putting in a community center and gym and such, the gym itself, when we added the gymnasium, it was 8,000 square feet, so a significant amount of square footage. That was between $2 and $3 million was what that would cost to put that in. And so it's a large amount of square footage, and you get a lot for that, but it's it does not cost nearly as much as the pool stuff, because the pool, you have a lot more concrete. You've got complex systems such as HVAC, dehumidification systems, all of these extra things. And so the cost per square foot is just a lot higher on those different things. I put just kind of this table together. You might have seen it before from the FAQs, that has what our proposed measure is. And we talked to the people that bid this project out. We worked with a reputable firm, Integris Architecture, and they had a professional bidder that bids these sorts of projects. And he said, you really need to compare the year that it was bid with the year that you're going to be bidding the next project. And when we look at that, the Lorac here was actually bid in 2022, and so that's actually a 5-year difference between the bidding. So if you put a 5%, which construction inflation is actually on the West Coast has been closer to between 7 and 8%, but they use 5%. So if I just use a conservative 5% inflationary value, but for a 5-year bidding difference there, it goes up to 57,294 between these two. And so there's a lot bigger difference there with that, but also all of these other things were the cost driver. We've got a 10 lane with a lot, lots of volume of water, concrete and such. The HVAC system, like I'd mentioned, double height space required for water polo, so we have a higher ceiling. We have, which adds to the HVAC costs and things like that of having to heat and take care of that space. And then there's other things that we look at here, such as this other facility, when it's being built in like the Portland metro area, there's a lot more contractors there that can do that type of work. There are large contractors that will bid on those sorts of things. In a regional area like this, we don't have anybody that would do that. So a lot of people would be coming in from Portland, a lot of these places. And so there's the drive time and all the other things. And they said that really with a regional facility, you can look at an uptick, a regional market uptick of 5 to 10%. That it would cost extra on top of that. So there's a lot of different different factors here that can factor into that. And I put that all together in a it's very complex and kind of difficult to explain, but I did put it together in an email back to him, and something that I feel like we can put on social media to be able to explain this a little bit better. But it's a valid point, and that's why we did a lot of this research in advance. I'll go back up to this thing right here. The 4 that we had listed here, the 3 other comparables, we really wanted to have ones that were very recent and aquatics only that we put up here. And so South Whitby is one that's being built right now. It should be finished, I think, sometime this summer. And I should have put the square footage. It's about the same size as ours. It's a close comparison. It's a little bit smaller, I think about 5,000 square feet smaller. And then there's the Pasco Aquatic Center, and there's some differences with this one because they have partly outdoor stuff and partly indoor. It's really is difficult to get like apples to apples comparisons here. And then the Halem is a more recent one that is a much smaller facility, and it was a rebuild of a existing facility. And so there was a lot of stuff that they did not have to start from scratch on. But I've got more information in our FAQs that has square footage and some other things. I was doing this quickly because this comment came in very late to put up here, but I'll be able to share a little bit more on this as well. And we'll be able to share that if we put this out there on social media as well. But just to show that we have done our homework and looked at different comparables too.
Thank you for doing that. I was gonna ask that exact, I saw that post earlier this week, and I was actually gonna bring it up to ask you, so
Yeah.
thank you in advance.
Yeah.
For seeing that.
The cost estimator, one of the things he advised was to make sure we're looking at Pacific Northwest comparables,
Yeah.
not just like anywhere in the country. I mean, not only the 5 to 10% difference for being in this area, but just like it's not apples to apples if you compare to Arizona or, wherever. So that was a point.
And oftentimes people will bring that up. They'll say, "Oh, well, look at these facilities in Texas or in Southern California and such," and they're almost always outdoor facilities. And people don't realize like how much the building, because you have to do a certain amount of span to get across a pool, and that's expensive to do that without any beams in the middle and things like that, and the types of buildings and such. And so, like anytime someone tries to compare an outdoor facility to it's not even can't even be compared. You have to have it Norton on it.
This one was, I thought it was valid, it was Lake Oswego.
This one was.
And so then,
Okay.
I love that you
Yeah.
brought it up, because I was,
Yeah.
this is, I think, like you said, when someone mentions their, other states, like, okay, whatever, but when it's this close to home, this is good information.
Yeah, yeah, and people are going out to it. Marcy and I both visited it, and so it's a wonderful facility. And but when you look at kind of some of the facts behind it and everything like that, it starts to get a little bit make a little bit more sense. It's just there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, I want to say one other thing about their cost estimator that, we talked to them about what were their assumptions and things like that. And one of the things was their assumptions about the level of the finish, and that they use an assumption that it would be kind of middle of the road. And he explained how a lot of places ended up having to cut costs, they run over budget, they have to then do lower cost finishes. And so it's important to factor in at least, that medium level. And a point he said that was really interesting to me, it makes sense, but if you really cut corners there, it ends up costing you in the maintenance, right? You do more repairs, you have to replace, the floors sooner, things like that. And so it's an important thing to kind of understand, for us to understand.
I remember that happening to the Shark and Bend, like right after they had a couple things that occurred. And they did not have the expansion going on inside, so internally, it was pulling the walls in. And they're like, crap, we didn't have that negative going on, and they had to repair some of that.
For the tent. Yeah.
And then they had another issue where they did something, because not cutting corners per se, but they just went with a lower level.
Mhm.
They ended up getting a leak, and they didn't find out until the end of the season. And they'd used so much additional water because of that leak that their next year's bill
Mhm.
ended up being at a higher rate. And even though they patched the leak and did everything else they needed to do with piping,
Mhm.
they were stuck for the next full year cycle of paying at this higher water rate,
Mhm.
which really cut into a lot of what they were hoping to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of cautionary tales out there,
Yeah.
in design and putting, putting the upfront work and money into it in order to save your money in the long run on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for this, Mark.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay. We're on to minutes.
Mhm.
There a motion to, or are there any changes to the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes as they stand.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Martha?
Aye. Sorry, my
Great.
button.
Find that mute button, all right. Great, I just had the strategic plan is very small today, I just had a couple of kind of situational clarification questions that have come up. One was if the levy passes and the bond does not, and what we were just talking about, there was a question specifically, will the pool days be reduced? Because in this scenario, we do not have the new facility, but we do have the extra money to run the facility. I think that this is a kind of a difficult one to answer. I would say that, like, I don't believe that we are planning on it at this point. We would like to be able to run, but without having a facility that we can count on, we can't guarantee you what what the days, like how well this place is going to run. We're going to be able to, like, maybe probably put some more money into the management of it and trying to put more money into the maintenance of it and things like that to be able to fix some of these different things. But as far as like it won't become reliable overnight or anything like that. So it's like, I think that the answer there is somewhere along the lines of we are not planning on reducing it for cost cutting measures. However, without a reliable facility, the facility could have reductions.
So we could just say the levy will guarantee we have the staffing for it,
Yeah,
but we can't guarantee that the longevity is there.
yeah.
This goes to what I heard some people asking for, painting a clear picture, which requires, but it goes back to our conversation of how much is in, general maintenance that we could afford, and how much did the board really say that they're willing to put towards something that's failing, and so on and so forth. But given an understanding of some of this nuance, well, over the last 2, 3, 5 years, what are some of those big ticket items that may not have been with a new facility that had to be spent on? Like if a boiler went down, what would that have done? How fast would those reserves be depleted? How fast have they already been depleted? If there's a way to kind of quantify that, some people were saying that would be helpful to understand, like, okay, now I know what kind of borrowed time we're playing with. If any one of these things triggers off, man, it is done. Other than what we just kind of say now, which is, it could be at any time. Yeah, I've heard that for a long time, right? It could be at any time. Well, it almost was at any time. Well, yeah, but it wasn't.
Mhm.
So I don't know how to put that into play. That also sounds like a lot going on and a lot to convey. But I have heard multiple people ask kind of how to conceptualize that a bit more with how is the maintenance being drained at a higher rate, and what does that look like recently?
Mhm.
That's just remarks that I've had to try to field, and I don't know here nor there how to really approach it other than talk and play whack-a-mole one at a time. But it could be a benefit in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we have done some work on showing like that, you know, that numbers that we were doing by the numbers earlier, and the point was brought up of like, what does it mean when we say a significant thing, but we've got some things that show like all of the things over $10,000, or, you know, those sorts of things, and we have, you know, we found earlier that our maintenance dollars, how much we've spent in maintenance, in the, maintenance and repair line item at the pool, doesn't tell the whole story, because we capitalized anything over $10,000.
Correct.
And so, but we do have, a list of those things for like the last 5 years or so, and where it is. It's not it's not a completely steady line, because as you know, I mean, there'll be these really bad years where all of a sudden you've replaced like a whole bunch of stuff with the HVAC and these other things, and then you'll have this other year where you dodge a bullet and you kind of skate by and everything. So it does go up and down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have like that whole thing like over. I mean, it would be really great if we could look over it like a 20-year period or something, on all of that. I've got maybe 10 years worth of reliable reliable records where I can pull all that together. It takes time, but we can.
Yeah, and I'm not asking for it. I think it takes a whole team to really make a push like that.
Yeah.
But maybe if just keeping in the back of our mind, if something stands out that might meet that mark to really kind of push forward, we may want to lean into that, just given the fact that some people are kind of asking, you know, a deeper version of this question. Because I hear now like, okay, well, how much do you have? And, okay, so if things are like over $1 million, you don't have it. Well, can you just go get a loan for it? And then you can keep it going for how long? And you're just like, whoa, too many things. But still being asked because everybody has an opinion right now and they have questions to go along with it.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to kind of a philosophical question of like, should we as stewards of the taxpayer dollars be borrowing money to fix something that is in such bad shape that where we could lose? I mean, imagine having to pay the payment on a loan for a pool that's closed. For repair of a brand new boiler or something like that on a pool that we've had to close, you know, after that and everything like that. And I think that framing it in ways like that with the public of just being like, you know, would you go get a payday loan for a brand new engine on a Toyota Camry with 300,000 miles? Like,
Boy,
that's not a good financial decision, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I just like to convey sometimes to everybody else here what we're all starting to hear right now.
Yeah.
And I think this is good to talk about. And we're gonna get into the weeds over the next 2 months for sure.
Yeah.
So essentially the answer to this is not planning to reduce pool days as long as the levy passes, but there will
No guarantees.
continue to be maintenance
That's
needs and like,
That's my interpretation of
Yeah.
how I would answer it, but this is a question for the board, because it's a policy decision
Yep.
for the board on what the board thinks. So if any board member has a different take on that or some other things that they would like to bring up here.
I don't think they, I mean, policy wise, it's just that, yeah, no, I think.
Yeah.
We will have staff to maintain as long as the building is safe to run, we'll run it.
Yeah.
But we can't guarantee it won't shut down for a week because of construction or because something breaks down.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna, unless, you know, there's a good chance that might happen, but.
That's how I've conveyed it so far,
Yeah.
is I can't speak for the future, but this is what we've talked about thus far and where we're at. So it's the best I can give you with so many uncertainties.
The other one that has come up a couple times with staff here, just a little clarification at a board meeting a couple months ago, when we were talking about setting up the out of district versus in district pricing and such. We were talking specifically, well, we weren't sure if when we got back to the to staff if it was specifically around the aquatic center and admission prices or around everything that we're doing here. So when we were looking at programs and we started to put that, you know, usually it's 20% more for out of district fees. And if we did a full 50% more, it changes a lot of the out of district fees and a lot more considerably for a program. So for some of the high dollar programs, like if we were looking at like the junior lifeguard class, and we put this in the new phrasing of the regular price is $300. This is with the way that we do it right now, and the in-district discount is $250. Under the new split that the board suggested, it would be $375 is the regular price and $250 is the discount price. It's a much bigger split. I mean, it's one thing when it's $8 versus $6 admission. But
Well, I mean, I'll jump into this one specifically and say that the nuance is really there because this program helps fund the lifeguards that are going to be overseeing everything. So it already gets subsidized and adjusted in so many ways to be like, but we want you to work for us afterwards.
Hmm.
So what does it take to help you, meet those standards? So I think that, yes, we talked about it and making those adjustments in and out of district, but there's got to be some things that really benefit. You got it. Thank you. I was like, I made eye contact with him, I gotta go. Yeah, I mean, there gotta be a couple one-offs that at least we go, that doesn't apply the same in and out of district. I would feel like there are more than just this, but this one in specific would be cutting off our nose to spite our face in terms of being able to staff properly and do other things that would harm us more down the line.
I think this is camp.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's a filter program. It builds those individuals up into taking lifeguard training and becoming lifeguards in their community. Whether they're coming from White Salmon or Bingen or not,
Yeah.
I mean, you could pull the numbers, how many of them end up becoming lifeguards here? It's not really somewhere else.
When they can't White Salmon, yeah, they would come here.
Yeah, so some of those things are a little bit more nuanced than others, but.
and there's other like ski bus is a good example of one that's a pretty high dollar program that would be, like a $500 program or $750 program, depending on which. And if a person's in Cascade Locks, a student, and like. But they're in the school system, they go to the middle school, the same one everyone else goes to, like, is that our intention is to person to pay like that much more on a program like that, or summer camp, or?
Do most people, so honestly, I hadn't even considered all the programming. I was assuming when we were talking about in district and out of district, I thought that was mostly people coming in, who were visiting, who were coming to use the pool for the day.
The pool,
The pool itself.
exactly.
So just
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
We
And so
charge,
I
you
didn't,
know,
which I know, but I didn't,
Yeah.
so you guys also have you always charged a different fee for
Yeah.
camps and stuff too?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that,
Mhm.
so I should know that. That's good to know. I mean,
Now you
that's
know.
on me.
Knowing is half the battle.
That's always been a board policy.
Yeah,
is-
interesting.
Is because we do subsidize our programs.
Right.
That the people that are paying taxes do pay a lesser,
Which there seems fair for sure, but yeah, when I see lifeguarding, it's like that one probably shouldn't be, but yeah.
Well,
That's a bigger
okay,
chunk.
when we discussed this as a board, it was the lens of admission prices.
right.
It was not holistically
Right.
all pricing for everything. It was pool admission.
Agreed.
And
Yeah.
so,
Recreation does the same thing as well. I mean,
but I'm saying we did not
right.
did not discuss
Right,
what the district versus out of district for
totally.
recreation programming.
Although that's a good question. When Mark showed us the differences and
Mhm.
charted it out, did you include everything?
Huh?
I mean, remember how you were saying like, look, if I bump it up this amount.
Oh, that was just
That was
admissions.
admission.
Okay.
That was just
Yeah.
admissions, but the question came up when we were looking at price, and this is not something we need to settle tonight, because we, although this program, this one specific program right here.
well, I mean,
But we would, actually, we didn't raise any of the other summer programs, we weren't be doing this one until after September.
well, I mean, I think what would be helpful is we're working on our budget now.
Yeah.
And so, we have two departments who are working on their pricing and think that they need to raise their rates right now by 50% and in some for out of district residents. So I guess the question is, would you like us to direct them to go on as we typically have been with the intention of raising pool admission rates by 50% for out of district residents and 20% as our what is our normal
Yeah.
process for
Yeah, I think
other
my 2
programs?
cents is yes, but first, a short answer to that, like, I don't think we should be charging crazy amounts. If someone that lives in White Salmon but wants to come here for an activity, if they're still in the gorge, if they're coming, if everyone's coming to just. If it's a Portlander coming out here, yeah, they should pay a little extra to use our space.
Can't do it like that, though.
Well, I
mean-
know, but I'm talking about for like using the pool for the day, but I'm talking about someone who's gonna come here for a week of camp. Isn't generally, I mean, I'd imagine that's not a ton of Portlanders, that's gonna be most likely. People in the gorge or this vicinity who or parents work and live around here, and they're gonna drop their kids off here and go do the things they're gonna do. And so charging them 50% more seems a little heavy in my opinion.
So
For
to
those,
Marcy's
but that's
point,
my opinion.
it sounds like we're in agreement that the admissions into the pool right now, this makes sense for 50. The other things can be stable until we have more time to talk.
Okay, and then just one
Yeah.
more point of clarification, swim lessons. We have been charging 20% more for out of district. Would you like us to do 50% or 20%?
And I still maintain 20, but
I think 50. For me, part of the logic here has to do with this, a big expense, especially if the things pass, is going to be the bond, which is mostly for the pool. And so, to me, there is a strong argument for charging a premium to out-of-district pool users, because all the property owners here are having to pay a decent bill for the bond. Also, the swim lessons, they're super hard to get into. I put it this way, they're high demand. Lots of people want them.
Good
So
quick
they're high
reframe.
demand. And they're competitively priced. And so that's where I would come. I mean, I would love if we could just provide as many swim lessons as the community wants for everyone in the whole region, but that's not the reality.
Okay, I think that gives us plenty of
Do
direction.
you, I mean, do you all agree with the swim lesson question? Cause no, I jumped in first there.
So then I guess there's a differentiation between pool-based programming and then non-pool-based.
Right.
Right.
With
So
the-
then we go bring you back to the example we just started with, which is
Yeah.
a school-based program
Uh-huh.
that I heard earlier.
These
was
are.
not-
the lifeguardians are.
Yeah.
Act more like recreation programming
Mhm.
than they do,
Traditional pool
Mhm.
programming, yeah.
So,
But your point
Um,
makes sense, Christie, about the bond and the focus there, so.
Is it, I mean, making a differentiation, that's doable. I mean, that's something that can be done in terms of, and that's how we defend the differentiate, the two pricing schemes is, one is pool-based bond expense for in-district folks, and like, as long as that can be done, I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think it falls within our, cost recovery, and our, financial, sustainability policy and, for recreation programming.
But in reality, it would probably be a one-off. And then everything would be standard increase along the way, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah, after.
yeah,
Mhm.
and so it's really just,
The sticker shock is now.
uh-huh.
Mhm.
We will be looking at like the recreation, the continuum with the cost recovery and all that stuff probably this summer. And so getting it more into it at that point.
There may be a little bit of,
Yeah, and it's to adjust like how much, what our subsidization rates are for these different things. We've kind of had the tool now for a little bit, and we're now, especially if we pass the levy or don't, there's some things that we'll have to tweak here.
Yeah, we're looking at our service levels.
So that'll continuum,
Mhm.
yeah, so-
And that tool's great.
yeah, but it needs some adjustments, but we're not gonna bring that forward until we know about the levy funds and all that stuff, so. But for right now, this is good direction, but one thing didn't completely get clear on it. So are we talking, when we say pool-based, is it everything including this or just lessons and admissions? Or,
I think,
I'd like to argue this falls under recreation more than anything. Even though it is pool-based in that sense of it happens in the
Mhm.
pool, I think that it serves a different need for the pool in the community.
So who manages these different programs? I mean,
so, well, Ally, manages everything aquatics.
okay. So
And
then
then
that's-
Jaime, manages everything.
And so,
Recreation, so anything taking place in the pool is even if it has some recreation component, falls under aquatics.
Strategically, there's such a hardship if you make it more difficult to get lifeguards. Because then everything else you're trying to do, you're gonna start cutting hours anyways, because you don't have, butts in the seats and things like that. So I think some things just have to be looked at a little bit more nuanced.
I think we're
Yeah.
getting lost, I think because that one example came up was junior lifeguard camp. If it would have just been junior acting camp or what are the other things, I think this would have been maybe a little clearer, but I think the fact that lifeguard came up, like, I think we should. hopefully we're all, I feel like the anything regarding around lifeguarding should probably be fairly protected and charged equally or, you know, at a good rate.
Mhm.
For all the reasons Mike's saying, like, we want to encourage lifeguards and
Mhm.
people and
Mhm.
for the
Mhm.
pipeline for here in town, and doesn't matter if they live in district or not. If they're
Mhm.
coming through lifeguarding camp here, they don't need to pay extra because we want those people in the community to come back and work here. But
Yeah.
that, so that example though, like we're just talking about other summer camps, then that's different, or we're talking about, you know, all the things that come up, but I think the lifeguarding one's throwing us off.
I think a reasonable policy direction would be there's these two categories.
Yeah.
And if staff feel like there is an example that need, like, should, like, that isn't clear which one it falls into, that they ask for guidance. I mean, I would think most things are probably very clear cut, right? Like, how many examples like this
Yeah.
are there?
Not very many.
And then,
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's
Mostly swim lessons.
yeah, I mean, well, and then when you get into recreation programming, you know, just because of the price of the programs, you know, then it becomes the disparity between in district and out of district becomes more stark.
Right,
Right.
but if they already said their recreation program, they're
yeah,
not part of this,
yeah,
then that, but doesn't matter.
So maybe, so just so we're clear, so it sounds like for rec programming, we're all comfortable with a 20% increase out of district.
well, a 20% difference between
Difference,
in
sorry.
district and.
20% difference
Yeah.
between out of district and district.
Yeah.
Pool or swimming related programming that would be under Ally's jurisdiction, and those kind of things, those would be 50% difference.
Except for lifeguards, so.
Yeah.
Except for those, the lifeguarding being a little asterisk, does everyone know?
Mhm.
Are we all on the same page on that one? Now that- okay.
Martha's nodding her, okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
That's it for strategic planning, all that headed there,
Great.
so.
Yeah.
Brian likes to be here for the finance report, so.
You this with this communications.
All right, so finance report, right now, looking at general fund, not too much has changed right here. We're getting really into like the budget planning area, so this is where we're really using these things to kind of do our projections. Our staff has now all gotten their individual budgets, which are broken down into their smaller things. With pretty much this as the kind of their frozen in time thing to look at forward, how much they're gonna be spending for the rest of the year and such. But everything's looking good right now. Of course, our revenue is close to 100%. Because of when we collect our taxes in November, most taxes are paid and they come in there. And the beginning fund balance roll over and everything. But then about a 60% total expenditures right here, which is a good spot to be in February of this fiscal year. So I'm not too worried about general fund. It seems to be tracking along just fine. Looking at the recreation fund right now, this is kind of again, not too big of a difference from last time, where we are at a 65% total revenue, but of course, we are just bringing in the our, well, that's where we are at revenue, so but what I meant to say there was the beginning fund balance, of course, was already at 100% right there. So you're really looking a little bit more down at just like recreation programs, which is at about 45%. So a little less than halfway when we're a little like through the year here already. But some of that is reflected in the lost revenue of the programs that are no longer running through us.
So we'll see a lot more come next month because you just opened up recreation for summer, right?
Yep, you'll see a surge there for the camps and things.
Not to detract too much, but how has the messaging been going on the webpage as people sign up and see the impact of a levy?
We haven't, I mean, specifically with recreation and such, we haven't really heard, it's more kind of word of mouth sort of thing, but
Did we put it online though, when people sign up that it tells them about that?
no.
Oh, I thought we were gonna do that.
There's maybe a line between advocating at that point. I mean, I guess it is factual, but if we're doing it at the moment for signing up, it'd be how we phrase it, I guess.
Yeah.
I think that we'll be doing some newsletters and such that go out to people that register that will go specific to people that will but having something written in the website saying this, maybe the last year if you don't vote would be,
Yeah, no, I get what you're
Yeah.
saying. Just processing from
Yeah.
our last discussion.
But to sign up for anything, they have to provide an email with the
Yeah.
new system, right? So
Yeah.
then they would be getting email
Alright,
Yeah.
follow up
update.
secondarily.
Yeah.
unless they opt out.
yeah,
Well, so they don't, it actually is not the same exact thing. So like
Doesn't.
if they're getting an email for a program,
Mhm.
they get emails related to the program, they opt into the newsletter. So we send emails separately on programs,
Mhm.
you know, reminders, but
Mhm.
there is a specific, they opt into the
but
newsletter.
we are allowed to do marketing emails to people that have signed up for things with through their account. And so we can, outside of the newsletter, or we could just take the newsletter and forward that to the people that are in the programs as well. But we'll probably do like custom messages and such to people that have taken the programs before, and we are planning on sending it out, especially like youth basketball that just finished. You know, we usually will send out a survey and such, and so we could send out surveys that say like, here's informational, and we attach the mailers, or you know, or that sort of thing, or we can highlight it. We'll work with legal to make sure that we, however we do it, is in a factual and not advocating sort of way.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to detract.
System development charges are actually looking a little bit more positive right now. Especially that outside urban growth boundary. We are getting into the building season right now, though, so the inside urban growth boundary is still pretty low there at the 33%, but spring is the time that a lot of people are pulling permits, and especially since our rates will go up in as of July 1st. You'll see a lot of a big surge usually in May and June. And so we're hoping that that one goes up a little bit more.
Has county planning filled in their vacancies pretty well to get through the backlog?
Yeah, I think county is doing pretty good. I'm not sure. The city's had a couple of vacancies and some big projects. I think that have been taking a lot of their time. Marriott and things like that, they'll take their staff time. And so, yeah. And then, no changes in the improvement fund. So, onto the director's report. Director's report, the poetry walk is starting up again here on April 1st. And so, they have made it a little bit bigger this year. They have 20 different pieces. Which is up from, I think, about a dozen last time, so they added about 8 more pieces. And now they're going down to segment 1, so it's pretty much the whole entire Indian Creek Trail. There's been a lot of excitement about it. And they will be, this is a partnership with the library district, and they will be kicking it off with the library. On April 1st, and so it's National Poetry Month, and from 6 to 8 p.m. I went to it last year. It's a pretty nice little event. A lot of people come and they read the poems, and they put the artwork up there on the screen and such. Different people from the committee and such. A couple of people that might have actually written one of the poems too have been able to read it, so that was kind of cool to hear the authors up there reading it as well. So it's a nice little event. They really are appreciative. They pointed out that, someone was from the Parks District last time, and everyone was really excited because they really like seeing their poetry out there.
I don't recall, where were the old pieces archived to?
They are going to be actually displayed in the downstairs gallery hallway of the library for the next month, I believe.
Cool.
And so I don't know where their final resting place will be, or their final, but right now they're
The Smithsonian's been in.
yeah. Right now they are. These are really high quality pieces too. I've been really impressed. Paul Woolery, who's kind of been the guy that spearheaded this whole thing, although he has a whole committee that helps him out and does this stuff with him. But he's a graphic designer himself, and he will get artwork from other people, but he did the design and layout of all of these. I think he did a really good job of kind of balancing. It's hard to do text over the top of graphics. And doing that, and also making it one of our requirements was that it didn't really take away that much from the city. We didn't want to have these giant signs that were out in the middle of the view corridor, and he kind of tucks them in off to the side and have everything. He has a really good eye for this.
Where does the QR code take them?
I don't know. I think probably to the website of the library. So the library is the one that hosts the website for the poacher walk. But I'm not positive on that.
Maybe a picture of the trail too.
Is that QR code?
I think it is.
I got it.
It is.
Doesn't look like a trail though.
Oops. No, I stuck before me. Yep. So, anyways, great program. If you're around on April 1st, I'd swing by and check that out. Our next board meeting, we are planning on holding it at Parkdale Park. And so, it'll be great to go out there and be able to see the park. And we'll start off with a tour for the board and then the community. So we'll be advertising this for the whole community to be able to go out and see it there as well. So yeah, that'll be
Bring your puppy.
Yeah, so it'll be in the covered
It-
picnic.
it'll either be in the covered area or we could do it in the house too if we wanted to.
Oh.
But we might, we'll figure that out. It'll be there at the park though. I think that
Mhm.
we'll decide which one, probably depending on weather and some other things. And then last thing here, I just want to bring up Art Carroll, longtime board member here. He was board member for nearly 20 years. Just passed away at the age of 90 a little while ago. Couple of things I just wanted to mention about Art was he was here when I was hired and was just a mentor and just a great board member and leader. He like with no exaggeration, the Indian Creek Trail and West Side Trails would not be here today if it wasn't for him in the same way that they are right now. People, I always think it's so amazing that the Indian Creek Trail even exists as it is, as far as the fact that we've got over 20 easements that did not exist before 2003. And some of them were a little easier ones, like ones that the city owns or the county owns, but some of them are private landowners with, they just have a little sliver of land where if they said no, the Indian Creek Trail would stop at that spot and would not be able to go through. And Art spent so much time going over and trying to get these easements and many of them were gifted to us and such, and convincing people to allow a trail through their backyard. And some of it, there's a walking trail people had walked through before, but if they had the legal right to put a fence across it if they wanted to. And he did a lot of that work, but he also was a very hands-on. There's a picture here of, oh no, I didn't include that one, but there's one of him holding one of the pieces of the boardwalk at Lori, my predecessor's retirement party, where he talked about all the different pieces, those big boards of the boardwalk. He has put in every single one of those ones up until the Southside Connector extension that we put in right there. But every one of them he placed himself, and it was a couple hundred of them or so that he placed across there. When he left the board in 2019. You can see this vest right here is the vest I'm wearing right now. He gave me this vest. He just said, oh, I'm not gonna need this vest anymore. And he used to wear this vest at all the meetings. He was always here with it and everything. And he wanted me to have it. And so it's got the old logo on it. I think that this was probably given to him when he first started here. And I think Mike, when he came in this morning, was like, oh, vintage vest. It is a vintage vest. So and this vest was probably worn a lot of the times of him putting all these boards down. This picture right here is him sitting on the Carroll Crossing, which is the bridge down by the community college that connects the community college over to Devon Court and such. And that one was named for him. And I mean, that was just a feat to get that bridge put in there, and that was him doing the, I mean, he worked with the builder. They had to bring in a huge crane. He built these foundations underneath there, I think, there. It was all engineered and spec and everything, but they had to, do the concrete work and all this stuff there, and he was a part of every single piece of it. And then the building of it and such too. So like, there's so much that he's done for us, but the trails are the main thing, I think, really. This picture here, I took this one of him. I mean, he's 84 years old at this picture right here, and he was still out there, with loppers in his hand, cutting away. That was when we were planning the south side extension. And we were just bushwhacking through all of that stuff. We got up to this point right here in the trail, and we were so excited with that view of Mount Hood. It was such a nice day in like February. So, and now if you go to the Zigzag State Point, it's just all homes, so you can't see it. So we were a little bummed out because we thought it would be the coolest view corridor and everything, and when we knew the homes were coming in, but we didn't realize that it would just block it all off right there. But it was that was a fun moment because we were just kind of stuck in the brush, fighting our way through the brush, and we got up to the point, we're like, whoa, look at this. And so we decided to have the trail kind of veer up there just to be able to get to that top point. And unfortunately, it's no longer the view right there, but there's some other cool views along that trail. But anyways, just wanted to talk a little bit about him. There is a card that's going around here. He has a memorial service this weekend over at the Catholic Church. There's a viewing on Friday, and then there's a mass on Saturday. And I'll bring that card with and drop it off with the family this weekend. Darcy and I both went on going one of them. So anyways, just wanted to talk a little bit about art there, and we're gonna plan on putting something together in a newsletter and a social media post as well, just to kind of share this out as well. So that's it from my director's report on the order.
Thank you.
Just related to art, I got a chance to work with him pretty well when we were planning the children's park rebuild. So we've met at the city hall for 6 months or a year. He was a part of that, so he was a hoot.
Yeah.
And I don't use that term. I mean, he was like, that's a perfect word for him. He was just so awesome. I loved just working with him. He had such a fun energy. He was so supportive and so sharing of his knowledge and his time. And he was a really neat guy. Lucky to know him.
Yeah.
And I think if you can, you should send that picture to Andrew. I think Andrew would like it.
Yeah, I will. I said that I went through a lot of the pictures when we first found out, and I sent that one I was talking about to Lori, and I sent one to Gina, and there's Gina right there. He had a really special relationship with Gina. She worked with the Forest Service with him, and when he retired, I could tell art crowd stories all night. I'll just tell this one last. He actually applied put his name on the ballot to run for this board before he had actually retired with the Forest Service, and then he realized he's like, shoot, I forgot to ask.
Gotcha.
And so he went and he asked, hey, am I allowed to serve in public office? And they're like, absolutely not. And he was like, shoot. And so he called the county, and they're like, it's too late to withdraw. And he's like, oh no, am I gonna get in trouble and everything? So he tells them like, hey, I'm the scenic area manager right here. I didn't even think about this. I didn't think, I should have known better, but oh man. And they were like, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of it. Somehow they got his name removed before the ballots were printed, but there was a space. And so there was like 3 or 4 names, and then this space with a blank spot, and then another couple names. And so he didn't get elected then, of course. So he was very happy to dodge the bullet. A year later, when he retired, there happened to be a vacancy on the board, and they appointed him for the vacant position. And so he still was able to get on the board. And then from there, he won another, 5 or 6 elections for the next, however many years they get up to that to 2019. But Gina was working with him, or was working doing trail stuff there at the scenic area when he started the district. He was like, you've got to hire this woman. And he had us, talked to Lori and was like, you got to hire Gina and everything. We hired Gina, and Gina she's our longest running employee here, and has been with us since probably 2001 or.
She's been here about 5 months longer than me.
5 months longer,
so
yeah. So 2005, 4?
2004. So.
Yeah. And so, and she's here every Monday and Tuesday with us and such, and so, yeah, they had a really special relationship. He worked close with Gina and, so anyways, great. But good suggestion. We'll pass the on to Andrew as well.
Thank you. For the good of the order, I'll pipe up this go around. Just to be really appreciative of everyone, but most specifically probably Christy in the undertakings of what we've all been doing and just how much there is to do and what we saw earlier with our great, where do you fall in on this category? And here's what you can and can't do. And the threading of that needle, you know, as we have events going on and you know, what group is here and what group is there. It is no small feat. We all know that. And we've even said how much more grassroots there is going on and how much more cohesion is there at this stage. And I think a big testament of that is to you, overseeing chair and just doing all the things that you do. And it is recognized. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
I agree. I talked to her earlier, told her that I really acknowledge and appreciate all her knowledge that she has. And she's just, it blows my mind, all the work she does.
Well, you do make it easier when it's great to work with you. Staff as well. All right, we can take a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That'd be our earliest meeting in a while.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Oh, things to sign.
Did you?
Sign, Kelsey, sign.
Got a video, but you haven't connected with